Introduction of Adrianna Baranowska and deployed.
My name is Adrianna Baranowska. Everybody calls me Ada. In English, it's Ada, the same as the first women programmer. I'm a Scrum Master. I work at Deployed, and my main skills are related with management, but I believe I am the one of so-called T-shaped people who are very interested in other stuff. That's why I studied IT for almost 2 years, and I have some background in that. I also very interested in the design and quite familiar in Figma. Although I don't think I have a good taste in terms of colors and how to do things in general, but I know how it works, and from my experience I can always help my clients or designers how to deal with stuff, and where needed just take the decision there just to help and enhance the work and give feedback.
Can you provide an overview of Deployed and the primary services you offer?
So we are a software house. In general, we are on the market for almost 15 years. It's quite some time. We generally do stuff related with computer science and what our clients needs. Usually, we are starting with knowing our client needs, then do the design, develop in the iterations, and we maintain it. We work with Python. We love Django, but we also do stuff with Flask and FastAPI in our project. So those are the frameworks we are working with. On the front end, we are using React, and we also develop mobile apps. So we there use React Native. In terms of the what are the products we are doing, we are very flexible there and work in many industries. We have 13 years experience in e-commerce. Of course, use cloud in those services because it makes most sense, but we also can have self-hosted stuff. Therefore, for example, we have a developer who is taking care of that, take part in creating the software for plant management. For example, I personally work with the company where we manage the print house, which is huge building. There are the printers which are twice me. Yeah, so it's very long, and it's very interesting. I believe that the best thing in our work and company that it's very interesting for us to work around those stuff. We also work with IoT. I, to be honest, forgot to take a device to measure data of myself. The work in general is interesting. Back to the topic of our service. Usually we contact the client and discuss whatever we can do for them. Sometimes start with design and have the whole process there. Sometimes we are we don't really need to design because it's just for the internal use. It doesn't make sense to spend money on that. So we are just skipping this part. We are agreeing, we are using the Django templates and we are going with it. Or sometimes our client is having the designer on their side and we are just implementing that. Sometimes we are working in the way that we are more outsourcing people. We always have somebody from our site management to have some overview over the work, that everything works smoothly, that there are no misunderstandings. But I personally participate in the project when, I'm just jumping in there whenever I'm needed, and I have the developer who is essentially outsourced. So it's really whatever the client needs. The other funny story is that we have a person who was employed as UI UX designer, but previously she worked in printing, marketing industry. So nowadays she create a flyer sometimes for a client because they just need it. So we're yeah, we can do it. If you need it, you don't have to look for somebody else. It's a huge thing. In general, one of our values is the personal development, and what I really like in our company is that we are not just employing hire new person. If we hire somebody, we have people who is suited to our team. That people are ambitious, that they are hardworking. Of course, the life balance is there, but when I'm in talk with other Scrum Masters in Agile community, I've heard the term that you have to let somebody go to respect the other. And I'm happy that in our company, we never had to do such a thing. That we really have a hardworking team which really collaborate together and develop great stuff.
Can you explain the concept and essential components of a brand book and its significance in establishing a company's identity?
I believe the brand book is a great tool which gather a lot of information about your company. Let's start at the common knowledge about the brand book. If somebody knows about existence of such a thing, usually they think about the logo and about the colors and maybe how not to use them, and usually not many other information. But the truth is there should be more. There should be the brand history, if there is any. There should be for sure mission, vision, and values. Target audience, like what we want to, like the target audience. Target audience, services we offer, tone on voice, which is very important because it really makes a huge difference how we approach our clients. Because we can be, a friendly person, or maybe we want to be very professional. And it creates different connection with your client. And, when you target, for example, young audience, you don't want to be serious and strict. So that's very important. Slogans, that's a huge part of the marketing. Of course, logo and colors. I want to stop with the colors. They're very important. It makes a huge difference. For example, when you think T-Mobile, they have magenta color for themselves and they're using it. And whenever I think about T-Mobile, I have the flash of the view with their logo and the background of this color. Sometimes in marketing, people like billboards, for example, they don't have a logo, but just have the text and the color. Fun information. Usually those big companies have their colors as a trademark, and you can use this color within the same industry. So I suppose T-Mobile has something like this orange for sure. Those are the mobile services. Colors, there is typography, which is very important. For example, sometimes, it can create funny vibe or very clean, for example, Apple have very clean vibe, and the font is a huge impact on that. Shapes. Here I want to stop, whether you're in Poland. So when you look at chewing gums, we have the one which is named Orbit. It's called Extra in UK. When I went first time to the UK, I've seen it and I was like, oh yeah, it's the same company. Although the name is different, the whole package and the colors, it's really similar. And other stuff is photographs, icons, illustrations, patterns, and of course use cases. So that's the stuff which also can be in the brand book. There is a lot of stuff. Going back to the small companies, I believe the main thing is that they ask themselves very strategic questions, like what are our value, what is our target group, how we want to approach them, and by answering those information, they really create their identity. And I believe many companies don't really pay attention to that stuff because they just focus on the day-to-day business and don't really have time for that. So you have maybe a little bit incoherent behavior. And in terms of marketing, it will bring much more value if it's coherent. Because if you're, for example, using all this time the same colors, people will a little bit, think of this color and of your company. For example, if you always have this clean look, you will be associated with this clean look. And if you start to mix those up, it doesn't work really. So really focus on answering this question. Take your time on creating it. I know that it's a lot of work and it is a lot of time and money spent on that, but I think that in the long term, it will pay off. Yeah, I believe it's a lot, but you can start small and add more and more and more. When you are starting in the company, for sure, I wanted to say that you don't have any history, but you started a company for some reason. For example, if you start in the bakery, you are I remember that I watched a TED Talk about the company. She said that she really wanted to have the cakes her grandma made in the shop. There is a history. So usually there is a history that you can add. The why you are creating it. So I believe you can start small, and when you decide, for example, on creating the flyers or those stuff, you can take some extra time to focus on what colors am I using, how I will do it. So you don't have to right away spend a lot of money and effort on that. You can just add it step by step, but it will take some extra time to stop and think about those stuff. And those aren't easy.
Why do you think only a quarter of companies have a brand book? And what might be contributing to this low adoption rate?
When you talk with people, they don't really know about such a thing. You have to know the tool to use it. If we think about the advantages that it gives you, you can really have some of them without having a brand book. Because you don't have to have a brand book to have mission, vision, and values. I believe like the core which you are taught at the university that, oh, you are starting the company, you have those. And usually, people have those, but they don't name them. They aren't aware of those. So I would say they're using parts of that. And, if somebody came to them, oh, we are creating this document, let's talk about that. And you're starting to matching everything up, it will come up. Another thing is that sometimes they don't need everything. What I mentioned, that it's definitely not always needed, because for example, maybe some company doesn't need icons or photographs, they should be different each time. It makes a difference. The most important thing is to be coherent, to have everything the same style. I believe sometimes you can enter even a website and you're in one place, and for example, you have the buttons are very rounded, and then you go to, select, and it's square. It's different and it looks weird. And I believe it's the same with the marketing and the stuff around it. When it doesn't match up, it's not an issue, but there is something not right.
How do you ensure that the brand book remains relevant and updated with the company's evolving goals and market changes?
It basically has to be updated and has to be time to time checked whether everything is up to date. A very important thing is that people are aware of it and that they adhere to it. If they want to have something differently, they have to change the brand book. A little bit of story. When I started to work for one of the companies, we were thinking about a little bit different design, and we proposed some colors, and the first answer of the client was, yeah, but it doesn't adhere to our brand book. And I was like, oh yeah, you have a brand book, can I have a look at that? So I believe it was really a good answer. And he said, if you want to have a different color, you have to contact somebody else to have first the brand book changed. It makes just sense, that you just change the stuff there. You don't, go over it or go differently. No, always adhere to the brand book. And what I would say, never go over it, because you will create the precedence that will be repeated, and repeated. Yeah, and it will be, nobody cares about it. And also another thing is that the brand book has the values, mission, and vision. It is another huge topic on marketing it within your employees, and talk about those stuff, follow really them. It time to time is very hard, especially for example, our company's value is transparency, and sometimes I'm catching myself that I'm not so transparent as I could be. It's really sometimes hard to balance and talk about stuff, and I'm talking about my perspective. And also fun fact, our values were created while the company was existing for some time. It was created on the stuff we already have. So we checked what are our values, and later on started to promote them and saying out loud, oh, those are our values. It's funny because even though it's based on what we have, I find it time to time difficult. I believe it has to be, feedback back to back with the people responsible for the brand book and the marketing team, or in general the employees, because it's not just the marketing team that can have an impact on the brand book and the staff which are there. So it's very important to give this feedback and change stuff daily basis, I would say. It's not a day, once a year we are checking the brand book and then we can change it. No, it should be, the person should be responsible for that and can have oh, we have an input here. Okay, it makes sense to, update this color. Let's have a meeting about that. Let's discuss it. Or the typography has to be changed. We have to add something. Or we have a new product, so let's add it there. So I would say not that you check it on daily basis, but you're available for that on daily basis. That it's not, some document that we are adhering and not touching it at all because it's, holy document. No, it's not. It's something that we use on daily basis.
How should companies integrate brand book guidelines into their daily operations, particularly in areas like marketing and user interface and user experience?
It's very important to know about it and take it into account. Usually when we are starting, the developing things like this, like the UI, UX, we are starting with the design system, and it should be created based on the brand book. So we are taking the typography from there, we are taking the logo, the colors which are used, and we are working from there, creating the rest of the system.
What country do you provide services now?
At the moment, Europe, just Europe. Fun fact, in one project we are working with Malaysian, so we are developing together.
What others would you like to share with your audience?
I hope that it's helpful what I shared. It's my point of view at this topic. I believe I have a little bit different point of view than Evelina, who is the designer, and she is working on those stuff and with brand books. For me, from the management point of view, it's more like a tool, how to communicate stuff and, keep the standards, a little bit different approach. So I really encourage you to have a look at her blog. I believe I learned from it.
I read some articles on your website. Yeah, it's really good pieces. At least today, we let the companies know how important and necessary brand book and logo design is. So I think the awareness will be raised little by little. Yeah. Okay. So this is the end.
Wow!